Hello, my name is Joana Moreno Molina. I'm in 5th semester of high school in Tec Milenio Hermosillo, Sonora, and I'm going to talk about the Cold War. So the Cold War is basically the name given to the relationship that developed between the USA and the USSR after the World War II, and it was a war to dominate international affairs, and it also was a consequence of the destroyed countries that were left. Now, the term, it refers to a war that consists of indirect conflict rather than a direct one, since they just wanted to be better than each other and they didn't have like a direct and literal war. Now, there were two economic systems. It was capitalism and socialism. Capitalism deals with competition in the economy. It has a variance between the poor and wealthy. Here I have a chart that is the definition of both. It's a theory or system of social organization based around the free market of privatization, in which ownership is ascribed to the individual persons rather than the workers. And yes, and it was proposed by Adam Smith. Now, socialism is a third system of social organization based on holding of most property in common, which actual ownership is ascribed to the workers, not individual persons. And it was also a reaction to industrial injustice, labor exploitation, and unemployment in Western Europe, and it was proposed by Henry St. Simon. Both of them were like real selfish and wrong, I think. Now, I have this interview. I made this interview, but this person that answered is not here right now. But I wrote down his answers and the questions, and I'm just going to read them out loud. So the first one is, what countries were the world's leaders during this period? And he said that America and Russia. And why did countries who were allies during the wars became enemies afterwards? And he said they wanted to be better than each other. Become enemies. Where did the Cold War take place? He said that Cuba was a huge and important country in the Cold War, but then he said obviously in USA and Europe. What opinion did the general public have of the Cold War? And people were afraid that it could happen at World War III. Really afraid. Like, who wouldn't? What types of weapons did the two world powers have at their disposal? He said that nuclear weapons. And Russia had its weapons in Cuba because it was near to the USA, and USA had its weapons there, but nobody knew where, so he just left it like that. The reason that I interviewed this person, his name is Francisco Daniel Flores Quintana, he's my classmate, it's because I wanted to first interview my teacher, but he was in another class and I didn't want to interrupt because I'm a very respectful girl. So yeah, I just interviewed him and he knew about this topic. So yeah, I think it's good. Now here it ends the interview. And now I'm going to give my opinion about the Cold War and the economic systems that were there. I wrote down that I think that the Cold War was something that was already known to happen since after the World War II, lots of countries were devastated and depressed. It wasn't easy to get over it, and of course the Cold War was just something else to deal with. But since the people were first of all in unemployment, and the veterans were angry, and a lot of stuff that I already wrote in the forum. And it was really difficult to go on because of course they didn't know what to do, and since a lot of people wanted to implant and proposed their own economic systems like these ones, they just wanted a way to work better for the country and to like get better economically, and they didn't have any interest about how people felt in those times. So I think they wanted to propose something good and to go on and to get over all of this, but they couldn't that easily. So I think that this was all meant to happen, and since back there all the countries were very selfish uh, about who was better, I think it was probably the most literal conflict and ridiculous conflict that could happen. But they learned and they were okay. However, countries should support themselves because they cannot get and afford another war because of their selfishness. Because this was something really indirect and really not, they could have avoided. That's it. Yeah. Thank you.